Jack better than my mom. I was freaking eager to stay with Ramblin' Jack. And I didn't let her know that. I said, well, if I have to, you know. So I get out to California. Jack is living in Malibu, just north of Los Angeles. And he was in those days, and remains to this very day, a rodeo fanatic. He's just crazy about it. So the first thing we did when we got there, we walked in the door, put the stuff down, walked out the door, down the street to a rodeo arena in Malibu. The Trancas Riders and Ropers Association was having an event going on that day. Barrel riding contest, you know, all that stuff. And they had a parade going by with the big flags and horseback and all that. Leading that parade was about the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen in my entire life. Just stop you cold, drop dead, drooping out of both sides of your face. And she rode by and didn't even look at me. So I was feeling depressed. And I just watched her go by. She didn't know it at the time, you know, I didn't, I guess, either, but we'd meet again about 3 years later, get married, have kids, stuff like that. And, was married 43 years, and just this last October, we were celebrating our anniversary. She was very ill at the time, but she lived long enough to get through that, and it was just wonderful, and I keep thinking about that first time I saw her, you know. That time I was feeling so depressed that she rode by and Ramblin' Jack saw it on my face. And he said, Arlo, take this. I said, what is it? He said, don't worry, it'll wear off. Had some strange dreams that night. Of course, I didn't even know it existed. But I woke up the next morning and I wrote this song thinking about that girl. And I put it on the first record I made to come out 2 years later. So here's an old song. Sail with me into the unknown void that has no end. Swept along the open road that don't seem to begin. Come with me, love me, man. I may be back again. Meantime, I'll keep sailing down this highway in the wind. Evenings just begin the days, follows with the night. To love you and to be with you, to say that it's alright. Love me while you're happy, baby. I may be back again. Meantime, I'll keep sailing down this highway in the wind. There's times I feel like going, times I wanna stay, times that I ain't feeling well, times I feel okay. Now you have time for love, babe. We may have time again. Meantime, I'll keep sailing down this highway in the wind. The fortune teller tells me I have somewhere to go. I look and try to understand. I wonder how she knows. So I must be going now. I'm losing time, my friend. Looking for a rainbow down this highway in the wind. So I must be going now. I'm losing time. place where something happened, and there's a lot of them. You know what I mean? People go to places where something happened. Could be a famous battle or something like that, or it could be a miracle happen. It could be a good thing, bad thing, disaster of some kind, whatever it is. People go to those places. They stand around and visit, you know, try to get a taste or a whiff of what it was or something like that. And it's all over the world. People are basically the same that way. My theory is that every time somebody goes to a place like that, they leave a little piece of themselves. So the next time somebody goes, there's even more there than there was to begin with. And it keeps building up year after year, decade after decade, century after century, millennium after, you know what I'm saying? And you go to these places, you can feel stuff, you actually feel it. I'm not sure what you're feeling. It could be it could be what happened there. It could be the spirit of the people that have been leaving little pieces of themselves. I think the same thing's true with songs. I think that happens. You write a song, maybe not much to it, but you get a whole lot of people singing it over time. Every one of them leaves a little piece of themselves. Next time somebody sings it, there's more there, and there's a feeling to it. It goes beyond the words and the tune and stuff like that. I think that's what happened to this song here. As I went walking, that creeping of the highway, I saw lovely, and in the skyway, I saw below me a golden valley. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, and this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream water. This land was made for you and me. Probably the most well-known song my father ever wrote. I don't know if it's his best one or not, but it's known everywhere. Matter of fact, I was out this last summer, and like I said, you know, with my kids and the grandkids, we're singing this song, you know, and there's like 16, 17 of us on stage, you know, singing it, and then all across the country. And then we go up to Canada, and we start singing. I start right away, and all of a sudden, just before I got even just a few words out of my mouth, I suddenly realized, it's a Canadian version. I forgot to teach the little kids. I mean, some of these are 4 and 5 and 6, you know, and so I stopped the song, which I've been known to do anyhow. And we go over the Canadian version. It's not from California, it's like from Bona Vista to Vancouver Island, the Arctic Circle, the Great Lake waters. And we learn the Canadian, you know, just to be friendly, neighborly, diplomatic, you know. And we go across Canada, we're figuring it out. Pretty soon we got it down. Just in time to come back down across the border. By that time, I'm getting a little confused, and I'm starting to sing from California to the Arctic. No. And it's not the age so much, it's the mileage, you know. Then I went overseas. I was over in Scandinavia. I'm over in somewhere up in Norway or something like that, you know, and somebody said, "See, this land is your land," and I'm thinking to myself, they probably got some kind of Norwegian version of it. I can't even pronounce the words. I'm looking right at them. You know, and the guy read my mind. He said, "Well, we're singing your way." I said, "Okay." You know. And it reminded me of the time my mom had gone over to China during the early 80s before we'd shipped all the jobs over there. And she had been a dancer with the Martha Graham Company in New York, you know, modern dance company, and they were having this cultural exchange going on, and she goes over. She comes back. She said, "Arlo, I was out in the middle of China, and they brought out some school kids, and they started singing us some songs, and they started singing, 'This land is your land.' I said, 'Stop the song. My husband wrote that song.'" She must have drove them nuts, you know. She was driving me nuts about it. It was weeks after she had got back. She hadn't slowed down one little bit about it. And I just looked at her. I said, "Mom, what are they singing it for over there?" I mean, California to the New York Island. She just looked at me with one of those mom kind of looks. She said, "Oh, Arlo." She walked away. And I was left standing there feeling like my usual self. I knew she was right. I just didn't know why, you know. Eventually it come to me. I could see it just because it said California to the New York Island. Didn't mean it had to go the short way. I could see it going around back. Maybe up over the top or something like that. You know what I'm saying? And the whole world could be singing that song.
Right.
Except America. I remember when I had that thought for the first time. I realized I didn't know any more after thinking than before I'd begun. But I never let it stop me. I remember when I learned the song. I was in the 5th grade when I discovered civil disobedience. I started young. It occurred to me one day that homework was wrong. It was a morally bankrupt concept. Regular people that worked for a living weren't expected to work when they got home. That's what all the unions had to do, you know. Why would it be different for kids? Where were those union guys when I needed them? And I just quit doing it. My mom appreciated the philosophy, but not the conclusion. She took me out of the regular school, put me in one of these progressive schools so I could progress. I remember I walked in the first day of the school and all the kids were standing up singing my father's song, "This land is your land." I was the only one there that didn't know the words. Nobody told me that stuff was famous outside of our house. And when you're a kid, you don't think of stuff like that. So I ran home, tears in my eyes at the end of the day, and I told my father what happened. He made me bring him this little guitar he'd given me on my 5th birthday, which I still have. And he taught me the chords. When I had that much done, he taught me the words. When I learned that, he taught me some verses that wasn't in the school book version. So when I went back the next day, I went back armed. I've been singing this song ever since, you know. There's a lot of verses to it. I would sing them all the time. And I was thinking about this, you know, my dad would have been 100 this year. And if he was around, he'd be out with the young kids occupying this place and that place. He'd be out over in the streets in the Middle East where people were standing, you know, taking their lives in their hands and, you know, just trying to make things better over there. Wherever people were just yelling about stuff and fighting for stuff. So here's the last verse he ever taught me out there in the backyard. I'll leave it with you. It goes something like this. Nobody living can ever stop me as I go walking my freedom highway. Nobody living can make me turn back. This land